I had to apologize to Dad.
What'd you say to him?
We had dinner one day, and it was beautiful because he was apologizing to me, saying how he didn't see me, and he apologized for trying to make me in a. He said he didn't see me. And he deeply apologized. And I was trying to deflect it, saying, it's okay, Dad. And he was like, no, I need you to receive this. He said, I didn't see you. I didn't see who God had made you to be. Mm-hmm. And I said, I forgive you. And I had to receive his affirmation. And then I said, I apologize to you. This man is so great. His daughter got pregnant out of wedlock, and he's a pastor. And he stood up before the church like, what?
He said, don't say nothing about my baby.
I love her. You know how many men would shun their children for
Come on, Jason.
And so I apologized to him because I said, I disrespected you and dishonored you. And more importantly, I dishonored God's calling on your life. I caused that. And I said, I apologize to you for that. And, we can always justify our actions. I didn't know better, It takes two to have intercourse. No, I'm the man. Mm-hmm. You can't have sex without me. Mm-hmm. And it was just, we were outside, it was a beautiful day. And I never forgot that. And it literally liberated. This was like, you talking about the past visiting the present. It healed so much pain.
Dear future wifey.
Okay, scripturally, the Bible says your Father has already designed and purposed you.
I experienced an invitation of God this morning.
So you got to become an elite decision maker.
Elite decision maker.
He said, because you are one fleshly decision away from losing it all.
Etched in my mind is what true submission to Christ looks like.
I got to maintain that secret connection I have with God.
I'm so full and don't want to belabor this letter.
And I understand how important it is for men to disciple men, because if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be where I am today.
I've traded worldly pleasures to live a God-centered life.
The encounter I just had, I just need to rest in it.
Help us to be considerate, creative, and courageous lovers.
I love you. Your future hubby. Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm your host, Laterras R. Whitfield. Listen, are you still shacking up with us? If you're still shacking up with us, can we get a commitment? Hit that subscription button and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. Make sure you sign up for our mailing list. The link is in the description. And while you're at it, head over to Patreon and join us on Patreon so you can see behind the scenes footage and just see how the podcast comes together. See me when I'm doing live podcasts in different cities, and just travel with me on my Patreon. Well, today's episode, let me tell you something. If there's ever an episode that I've been looking forward to doing, I've been reaching out to this brother for about 2 years now. Yeah, I've been waiting for him to come on the podcast. You remember, it's been 2 years. I've been DMing you for two years. I haven't introduced you yet, so this is my time to talk. So listen, this brother's a brother that can lay hands on you two different ways. He can lay hands on you and pray for you. He can lay hands on you and knock you out. This brother is an amazing king. I love what he's doing in young men's lives. And he has this amazing wife. And that's what I love to talk about, but we're going to jump into this. Without further ado, welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. My new homies, Jason and Nicole Wilson. How y'all doing?
Hey.
Y'all in this thing now, huh?
Yeah, glad to be here, finally.
So Jason, it's been 2 years.
How?
Because I DM'd you and you you was really busy during that time.
I did. And I
responded.
whole documentary. It's been 2 years.
You responded.
Wow.
You had a documentary coming out. Who was that did that?
Lawrence Fishburne produced.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had a whole documentary, but I was following you way before then. Wow. Because my hopes and ambitions is to open. I'm really big into the foster care arena, and so I'm planning on opening up a boys' home for foster kids. And so when I saw the work that you're doing in young males' lives, it was very transformational. I was like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. So it even inspired me to have some type of curriculum with the boys that does what you do. And I want to have you come in and speak to the young boys and all that stuff, because I was like, yeah, it's amazing, man.
I'll be honored, brother, and that's needed. That's one of our desires, is to have like a boarding house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, you know, there's moments where the young man need to not be around mom, you know, and the mom needs a break, the young man needs a break. And so just to have a home where they can have a safe space, and then have men like yourself and there to help them work through whatever they're dealing with. So
when you have
I
it,
commend you for doing that. And,
pulling up.
Reach out and I'll be there.
Yeah, I'm pulling up. I just want to tell you, first of all, I love you as the man that you are. I love you as the husband that you are. I love you as a man that's helping to shape and reshape how we see masculinity. There's a video that I saw where this young boy was crying. And you know, we grew up in the era, if you saw a boy cry, what was it that the old heads would tell us?
Big Boys Don't Cry was classic.
There
Suck
it
it
is.
up.
Yeah, suck it up. Yeah,
And you told this young man, it's okay to cry.
absolutely.
What made you have that level of approach to say it's okay to cry?
Well, you know, that wasn't just a unique moment in the Cave of Adullam. It had already been happening, but that's when the world saw it.
Right.
It first happened when my mother had a stroke, right? A
Yeah.
mini stroke. Until that point, I was the typical coach, I guess sensei, strong, bold, assertive, never saw a crack in the armor. But that day when Nicole came into the area where we were training and informed me that mom had a stroke and I needed to end class and go to the hospital, I tried to hold it together. And then one of my students said, "Can we pray over you?" And when they started praying, I just broke down crying. And at that moment, it was like a key for all of the hearts, not only of my students, but their fathers. And so then they started opening up with all the things they were dealing with. And so when that moment happened, God had already been working through me for that moment, preparing me to be present and make the most of that moment. And not many coaches miss that. Many coaches like, tough it up, keep going, keep going. And what many do not know is that Bruce, the little kid in that video, he broke that board before many times in practice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It wasn't that he didn't have the technique or the strength. He was fearing failure in that moment. His father was there, who was my good friend. That's the only reason I recorded it. It was for him, his family, and his peers, his cave brothers. But I had to help him work through that. And then when I coached him through his emotions, allowed him to process what he was feeling, release anything that could prohibit him from breaking that emotional barrier, we saw what happened. He broke it, and the rest was history.
So he broke it before, but what changed? You said he had fear in the presence of his father was
Just
sitting
the
there?
fear of failure, like all of us, you know. What keeps us from going, pursuing a woman that we know is the one God has for us? You know, the fears of the past, and someone else did me wrong, or I'm not good looking, or I'm overweight, I'm not smart enough, I don't make enough. And so for him, that board became his emotional barrier. He had broke it before, but it was like, man, what if I don't do this? Oh, he's filming today. My father's actually here, the pressure. And so we all face it. And, you know, you got to allow a young boy to feel fear. You know, we teach our boys to be fearless, which is impossible.
Right.
If you have a heart.
Right.
And then every man knows as soon as you have a child, you understand that's your heart walking around outside your body. And so it takes fear to birth courage. Okay, so you don't want him to be fearless, because then you won't do anything.
Yeah.
Okay, heroic rather.
Right.
So I teach him how to feel fear, acknowledge it, but don't succumb to it.
That's good.
Yeah.
What fear did you have to overcome hollering at your girl, Nicole, when you first met her? Did you have to overcome anything?
I guess when we first met, a mutual friend introduced us, and she tried to urinate in my Cheerios. All right. So I was a popular DJ in Detroit. And you know I'm going here. So I was a popular DJ in Detroit, rap group called Chaos and Maestro.
Okay.
And she knew, everyone in Detroit knows us.
Okay.
So so our friend introduced me to her. He said, hey, this is the twins. This is Natalie and Nicole. She has a twin sister.
Okay.
And so Nicole says, I know you from somewhere. And I said, it's probably, Chaos and Maestro. She was like, no, that's not it. And so I'm just looking at this girl. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you about. Yeah, you know she know me. No, I didn't. Why did you do that? I never asked you that. Why did you? I never asked you. Why did you do that?
Literally, dude, I did not know who you were.
But yet you recall me walking in your high school with a trench coat.
This is the thing. It might sound a little strange, or maybe not. I had seen Jason. Okay. Right? I had seen back in high school. Now this is years later. Back in high school, he came to pick up another girl from my high school.
You remember that?
No, but seriously. But this is the strange thing about it, though, of why I remember it.
Okay.
Like, he had on this long black leather trench coat. Right, he looked kind of fly. All right, that's okay though. But I didn't know him. He didn't know me.
In the video, the rap video of Chaos and Maestro that was number one. Remember the box?
Yeah, the box.
We were number one for weeks the same trench coat, but she didn't know who I was.
I had seen your little video, Jason.
It's the same
coat. Little video, you hear it, right?
Your little video.
The little video.
Okay, so, but all right, so I had seen him pick up this girl, right, and I'm like kind of in this vestibule area. He's walking out with this girl, but I see the back of him, and he's got on this long black leather trench coat, and he's walking to this white car. And I heard, someone said, well, who's that? And they said, oh, that's the guy, Maestro from Chaos and Maestro. And I'm like, okay. Now, it didn't mean anything to me back then, right? I didn't know him. He didn't know me. Years later, that was the memory. When I saw him, I'm like, I feel like I know you from somewhere. But that was the memory. That's what it was. It wasn't the videos. It wasn't his popularity because no, for real. This is my story. This is my story, dude.
You should hear yourself.
No, I'm serious. But I always tell this to Jason. Whatever, Jay. I always tell this to Jay. I feel like God imprinted Jason.
Yeah.
In my mind and heart. I didn't know him from Chaos and Maestro.
And
that's not
all the times you watched the video. He didn't imprint it through that.
No.
Every time you would select
all the times
Maestro on the flex to play on your TV.
He saw him on that.
First of all, that never happened. But I always said Jason and I always kind of
pass it around
crisscrossed.
each other. Yeah.
Right, but never coming together until the time was right. Oh Lord,
she did. She dissed me for a while.
Well, I wasn't dating at the time.
Yeah.
So when y'all first met
Why
each other,
you gotta say I came?
You did, anyway. But I had to give some backstory, to what's happening. You're not gonna just diss me for no reason.
I was not dating at the time.
You took a break.
I had taken a break, and I was good, and. So I didn't never call him, and then we saw each other again like 2-3 months later, and he like, hey, you never called me, and I'm like, So
was that at
we were
Kelly's?
at Kelly's.
So this was deep. We're leaving out. So a mutual friend of ours in 1983 or 84, I can't recall. Yeah. I'm in the 8th grade. You were in the 5th, I believe. Yeah. Tragic day at my school. A group of my friends decided to grab guns to go confront a neighbor in the school. Yes.
8th grade.
Back then.
Yes, it was the first Detroit middle school shooting in history. Mm-hmm. Kelly Crittington is her name. I want to say it's beautiful young lady, friend of both of ours. Yeah. A friend of mine was passing a .25 automatic across the classroom, and the gun went off and shot Kelly and killed her. Her funeral, her father did the eulogy.
He was Kelly and her mom's pastor. Her mother was actually, and is actually my mother's best friend. And so we were we were there together. We didn't know
idea.
each other, but we were there together at that funeral. Jason was close friends with Kelly, and so there was this linkage. And so the next time I saw Jason, after I never called him back, the next time I saw him was at a concert, a benefit concert.
So how old were y'all then when he first, when you said never called him back?
I was a young 19.
And I was a young 21, right? Yeah, young 21.
22.
22.
22, whatever.
So, and so you met her at a place, you gave her your phone number, and did you ever get her phone number?
He finally got it at the concert. He said, "You never called me back," but I don't call guys. I call, but he got my number at the concert. He actually asked my sister, "Which one of y'all don't got a boyfriend?" I'm like, "Okay." So, and she was like, "She don't have no boyfriend," and I'm looking at him like,
"Are y'all identical twins?"
We are identical.
And so because you called me after I gave up.
Yes. Okay, so that's the thing. So he started calling me. But this is the unique part about my husband. He was always unique. He would call at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Why is unique loaded?
Well, you know you unique, Jason. You are very unique, man.
I am very unique.
He's very unique, man. Oh, he know he a trip.
You can call it 8 in the morning.
8, but I'm 19. It's summertime. I'm in the bed. I don't know who's up at night. Who called somebody?
A very productive man is up at 8 in the morning. She used to guys getting up at 1 and going to Coney Island for breakfast.
There are no cell phones, so he calling the house phone at 8 o'clock in the morning.
They're going to Coney Island for breakfast.
That's what they getting up at noon. What you doing? I'll come through, get you some breakfast, Cole.
Yeah,
that's what she used to.
Well,
you know,
because I'm like, this is strange. I don't know why he calling the house at 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm still asleep. So my sister, my twin sister, she said, answer the phone. She says, I got a good feeling about him.
Really?
She did. Mm-hmm. She says, just answer. She said, just pick it up once. And if you just talk to him. Just once. And if, just see. She said, I just really have a good feeling about him.
I like that.
And I did. And when I picked up the phone, the next time he called at 8 o'clock, he said, well, if you didn't pick up this time, I wasn't going to call you again. He said, because, you weren't responding. And seemed like I didn't talk to him ever since.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking about unique, and I just what I'm laughing about is we were at Fishbones. That wasn't our first date? That was like the third date.
That was like our second or third date. This is when I knew my husband was a trip.
What did he do?
We were at a restaurant, and the food came out. Had been waiting for a while. And you know how most people, if your food come out cold, you'll send it back. You might complain or whatever. His food came out, from what he said, was too hot. So
I ain't never heard of it.
I hadn't either. I had never heard of such a thing. So, but he was hungry. See,
too hot.
He was hungry, and so I'm starting to eat. But he can't eat yet because his food is too hot. So he picking it up, blowing it. He get frustrated. He like, I can't eat this. So he called a waiter over to him. He said, tell them take this back and put it in the freezer or the refrigerator or something. So
I did.
I said, oh. He different.
He's different.
This is real different. He's a little different.
They walking in the walk-in freezer holding your food like this.
Yeah. That was a moment there. I have to say,
that was my moment of journey of discovery for Jason.
Yeah. At that young age, when you were dating her, was it just like, oh, just my girlfriend, or did you have intentionality to marry her even at the tender age of 22?
I did. Marriage is, I guess that word or that commitment was too strong, but I knew she was the one.
You knew she was the one?
Oh, yeah.
The one for what? If you didn't believe marriage?
Well, I believed in marriage at the time. Now marriage is a covenant.
Right.
At that time in my life, I was young, immature, running from God, and so I knew that it was too many connections. So the Most High had been calling me since 17. Mm-hmm. And so when I found out her father was a pastor, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see you trying to cross my paths again with this calling that I don't want to do. And so I knew this was the woman to help bring forth the vision that he had given me, that I was like, look, I'm taking off these glasses. I don't want that path. So I knew it at the time, but it was never her. It was me. I didn't want that commitment. I didn't want that covenant.
And that responsibility.
Yeah. And then more so knowing what it meant, she would solidify the beginning of this journey that I never wanted to take.
That's good.
Yeah. But I always knew she was
That's
the
good.
one. Yeah.
That's good. When did it click for you? How long did y'all date before?
About 12 years.
12 years?
I'm joking. We dated for 5 years.
5 years.
And had our beautiful
time.
daughter.
We had our daughter in the meantime.
Everything. Yeah, out of wedlock. She was a lifesaver for me, definitely, because I was in the music industry and I always wanted a daughter. Most men pray for a son. I yearned for a daughter, and it was actually my mother's desire as well, because she had boys. And so, but I guess when I proposed to you, and I was taking too long. Hesitant.
I remember this. I remember this story.
And she took off the ring, right? Am I correct? I'm trying to remember.
Oh, you are correct.
Yeah, and she said, "Here, I give you something to think about," or something like that. What did you say?
I said, I took off my ring, which is actually this ring.
Yes, yeah.
This is the original, my engagement ring.
That's
it's
nice.
been upgraded a little bit though.
Yeah. A lot.
Upgraded a lot.
But it is the original ring. I gave it back to him. I said, here, this doesn't mean anything without the commitment.
So you said you had proposed to her previously. You were just taking a long time to get married.
We had been engaged forever.
Yeah.
How long?
About 3
3
years.
years.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's
And so at that 3 years later, you were just like, were you asking him, when we gonna get married? What's the date? What's the date? What's the date?
Especially after we had our daughter.
Yeah.
And
so he proposed before the daughter was born.
After she was born. So he proposed after she was born, and so that was year 2.5-ish, something like that. And it was always well, I got to get myself together. He was trying to, elevate his career in the music industry. And, I got to have my money and, to get us a house and, that kind of stuff.
Hold on, I want to unpack that, because that's something that I don't know where that comes from, but that's the thing that we say. I remember when I got married, I was 28 years old, and I didn't want to get married until I had myself together. Let's talk about that, Jason. What does it mean? Why, as men, do we feel like we have to have it together from a financial standpoint?
I don't really believe that we do. It's a way that we can keep ourselves from really being seen. I have a story I wrote in my book, Battle Cry. Dale is a good friend of ours. And he said something to me one day. He's single at the time, and he says, this is when I was on my journey to comprehensive manhood, becoming more than just a masculine male. And I was telling him about being transparent. I'm learning to be transparent with Nicole. And he says, man, my girl, she can never see Bruce Wayne. She can only see Batman. And so I believe that's what hangs most of us up. Another friend of ours, told me he needed to get his ducks in a row.
Yep.
And I asked him, and we all laughed. I said, when the last time you seen ducks walk in a row? And we laughed outside of our nonprofit, and he married the woman he desired. And you got to move past that. And I'll often say, Nicole and I got it together.
That's what I love. That's the quote that you say that I absolutely love, and I'm glad you brought it up. That y'all got it together.
I mean, that's what she's for. So if you're a man of the Most High, and it is written that she's our helper,
that part,
and then even deeper than just her helping you. The word helper in Hebrew is azer. which is a shield or succor or buffer, okay? And so to have her as that shield, and we complain a lot as men, like, everything's on us, man. Everybody's aiming. I'm getting hit with so many arrows, and this coming one way and this coming one way. And here it is, you got a shield next to you. And you're not utilizing it because you have believed that you are supposed to take on everything yourself. And so, and not only that, so we've embraced wearing the facade, this mask, and a superhero cape that strangles us. So it has to come off. We have our phone booth moments like Clark Kent, okay? You got to turn back to the regular guy. And who sees everything? Your wife.
There it is.
And so that's what men fear. You know, I mean, we built everything together. I got in an accident. We had a little money. We bought our house. And it was a beautiful struggle at first, you know? And it's something that we are thankful for, even this morning, grateful for where the Most High has brought us. But what is success without the struggle? You know, and it's like, I wouldn't want to have everything where she could just move in and like, she didn't have anything, no stock put into it. What is that? You know, so everything that we have now, even a nonprofit, everything, she has stock in it. Like she had a shovel, I had a shovel.
That's good.
You know, and so that's why I help brothers break free from that. It's like, my man, follow the good in your heart. You know, these things you're trying to seek is great, but don't lose what you already have.
That part.
Yeah. And so, you want to be able to provide. I don't never tell a man, hey, get married and struggle. Don't be able to provide for your children. You don't have health insurance and you're having kids. That's irresponsible.
But what's the balance? What's the balance between that, what you're saying now, getting my ducks in a row? I gotta, get my money together, all those sayings, because of course in these social media streets, you hear women talk about and let me ask you, Nicole, back in that day, of course, this rhetoric wasn't amplified on social media because there wasn't no social media. But when you start talking about a man providing 100%, paying all the bills, or the 50-50 conversation, was your mind even thinking like that back then?
Oh, absolutely not.
Did you think that a man was supposed to come into your life and then take care of all the bills?
No. No, and I had an example. I was blessed to grow up in a two-parent home and see a real partnership, right? I saw my mom and dad, they just retired after 44 years of ministry, pastoring. So I saw the partnership, not only in the family dynamic, but financially. My mom would work in the community with them pastoring and leading the church. I saw them build together. So that was in my core. It's what it was my observed learning. But just as a woman, I can't ascribe to that.
Yeah.
It's like I believe that one of God's specific purposes for my life, I have several, but one specific purpose is to help my husband. It is a divine purpose and actually a calling for my life to help undergird his visions. And so, no, I've never ascribed to, he gonna take care of me. And first of all, God gonna take care of me, and God will take care of me through him. But what he can't do or what he won't do, God will do, or I'll do it myself.
To your point, real quick, because you brought up a very good point.
And I'm about to choke up crying, so keep talking.
Yeah, the balance. I don't want to interrupt the tears, so you can release that, but. Far as when we had our daughter, I didn't have insurance. I'm a music producer. I had to put that aside, bro.
You did.
I got a job at Coca-Cola, working 6 to 7 days a week, at least 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
Not afternoons. These were like afternoons and midnights combined. I went in at 2:30 and then get off till 2:30, right? Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's like I did whatever it took to take care of my own. If it required my dreams to have to sit aside, because it's his will over my dreams. And so I know the family is the foundation where he gets the most glory from. And so I put that aside. And so when you talk about having your ducks in a row, you need to identify the fear behind that mentality. When you identify that, then you say, okay, cool, what can we do? And then you hear advice from investors who say, well, no, buy a house that you can afford in the best neighborhood. That's not expensive. Pay that off, then get another one and another one and another one. It's not about buying a $500,000 house for your first house.
Yeah.
So it's about prioritizing. Our house, literally, our first house.
How big is this room?
Our master bedroom now was big as half the house.
It is. It is.
And so, but I ride my bike. I used to ride my bike down that street because those were some of the most memorable times as a family. Life was simple.
Yes.
And so to Nicole's point, it's marriage isn't 50-50. We say it's 100-100.
Yeah.
You know, it's not math, okay? You got to bring everything you got to it, you know. I never tripped over when she made more money than me.
Yeah.
I knew who I was as a man.
There it is.
Okay? You make more, it's going into the same account.
Exactly.
Right.
If I make more now, we have a rule in our home that I never, ever would use what I make over her.
Good.
She has access to everything.
Good.
She helped build everything.
Good.
And so that's the key. And then to the other point, you know, about just her submission to Yah or the Most High.
Yes.
Okay, it's not to me. Even though the scripture says submit to your husband as to him.
Yeah.
But her heart is like, I'm going to trust you.
Yes.
And as we're trusting you, I'm going to trust him. So here it comes for the man of the Most High to be responsible with this tender
That's
heart,
right.
this family, this life. And you have to die to yourself and your desires. And that's the hardest thing for us as men, because then we go a little deeper. We don't love ourselves. So here it is now, the ducks in a row is hiding the fact that I feel unlovable, that I never got affirmation from my father, or my mother was overprotective or really didn't give me the nurturing that I needed. Now I seek it from strip clubs.
Yep.
I got the suits, I got the cars, I got the AP, I got the Rolex, I got all this, but I'm still hurting inside.
Yeah.
And I can't let her see this. She could never see this in me. So I need to get something else. I want us to have a vacation home. So when I get that, then I'll be ready. And so you have all these men, good men, suffering in silence, women suffering in silence now as well. And you see why our communities are the way they are.
Yeah.
And so we really need to do a deep dive and allow the Holy Spirit to search and purge the pain that's in our hearts so we can truly live from who Christ should be in our hearts. You know, he should be there. We should be living from that. And that's what I feel is the biggest hindrance. We love mantras, you know, no pain, no gain.
Yeah.
What doesn't kill you can only make you stronger, or what is it, everything in moderation, when clearly it's less than an ounce of cyanide to kill you. So those things those are fronts for what's really going on. And so
what's so abnormal is to hear a woman speak about their number one mandate, emphasis on man, is to undergird the mission of her husband. And the reason why I believe that is so healing to this generation is because we have, especially in the Black community, male against woman and woman against male. Even as we look at the election, it grieves my heart that so many Black men are so against the Black woman that they're saying they're not even going to vote for Kamala Harris. It's like it's just all this stuff that's going on that grieves my heart. And you hear so many women talk about their careers, that what they're trying to accomplish. And these are single women. And while I believe that, yes, you single, go after, do everything you need to do, but don't forsake family.
Right.
Because we're one of the only cultures who puts family on the back burner behind career. You know, women in other cultures, they're getting married fresh out of college. They know how to build generational wealth is through marriage. But in our culture, it's like, man, I can do bad all by myself. We say stuff like that. A woman says, I can do bad all by myself, which means that she's going to chase finances and career and put family to the side. And then men, they do the same thing. They like, man, forget it. You know, these H's ain't loyal. We have the most toxic songs, and we dance to it. We twerk to it, to toxic songs. Instead of saying, man, I remember back in the days where we were listening to beautiful R&B music that would uplift each other. And it just grieves my heart when I hear the heart posture of our culture where we're pitting men against woman and woman against man. And so I love, it touches me on a deep level when I hear couples that get it right, like y'all do, where y'all saying, listen, if we ain't got two wooden nickels to rub together, it's what we got together, and we can build something together. And even when you said that most people have the ideology that men, if a woman is out earning the man, then the man feels less than. And you saying, listen, there's been times when she making more money than me. It's all going in the same pot. It's like, why can't we? That sounds so simple. Why is that such a struggle?
Well, my identity was in what I did instead of who I was.
There it is.
She'll tell you the transformation didn't happen until I surrendered my life to Yeshua or Jesus.
And I want you to back up to that moment when you were working, that transformational moment. For those that don't know, share what happened.
Well, can I share what happened before that?
Yes.
Because I think I would have missed that moment if not what had happened before.
Okay.
I'm driving a friend of mine's truck to the studio again, pursuing this dream. And I had no idea his mother, who was like a spiritual mother of mine at the time, had told him not to drive this truck. Someone has to get in an accident.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, I didn't know this. I'm driving, coming back from the studio, a car stalls in front of me, and I'm looking, and I'm like, wait a minute, is he going or not? Because he didn't have the hazards on. By the time I realized his car was stalled, it was too late. And I was in a 4Runner, and at the time they were built top heavy.
They'll flip over.
So when I swerved, the car turned over 2 times. They rushed me to ER. I feel okay, and I'm, what is it called? The thing you lay on the wood board?
The gurney.
The gurney. That's it. Yeah. So here comes my friend at the time, real popular, NBA first round pick, comes in crying. Jay, you all right? You all right, man? You all right? I'm like, dude, I'm cool. What's up? They just got me on this for precaution. What's going on? He's like, no, Jay, God calling you, man. I'm like, my man, and I knew because I've been running. He was
That's
like,
the first thing he said when he saw you.
He didn't care about, he wasn't talking about my physical body. He was concerned, but his main thing was the fact that his mother told him it was going to happen, and it happened. Not only to just anyone that he just knew, his best friend at the time. I didn't believe him. And I asked her, I said, did God tell you that? She was like, absolutely, you got to stop running. I kept running. I didn't want this calling. I think Deion Sanders said it eloquently. He said, God was calling me, but I didn't want to, pay the charge or something to collect calls. Whatever. It was really good the way he said it. And that was me. I was running. I knew it would come with a cause. And I'm a man, when I believe something, I'm going to walk it with both feet. So the second time, to your point, I'm talking with Nicole. We weren't married yet at the time.
Yeah, but we had our daughter.
Yeah. And so here it is, again, having a stable woman. I'm working all these hours, still wanting to do music. And I was studying Egyptology at the time. And I said to her, it was on my last break before I got off. I said, God ain't real. Jesus ain't real. I said, the only son coming through the clouds is Ra, the sun god. And I said, he fake. And Nicole said, don't
blaspheme him like that. Don't say that, Jason.
And I said, I almost wanted to say the F word. I don't know if I did, but I was just like, I said, I don't believe it. Why am I in here? And I got all this talent. And I'm working all these hours doing nothing. Felt like Joseph when he was in slavery. And I hung the phone up, didn't I?
Hung up on me.
10 minutes later, like every night, I would unload this pallet truck. But this time the driver didn't lock his brakes. I go to get on the bed of the truck. Boom, the high-low gets stuck. I back up. What's going on? Boom, hit it again. Like, it's not making sense. Why can't I get on? There wasn't any resistance. The truck bed was moving when I was hitting the plate. I didn't know it. So the third time was a charm. I hit it, boom. But this time the truck moved away from me and dropped the high-low down. And I fell with this heavy machinery, could have tipped over on me. Fell off, 2 herniated discs. I look up at the sky and I see the moon and I start crying. And I said, I'll never go against you again. I said, you got me. And I said, your will be done. And that literally the very next day, I went from listening to secular hip hop to Fred Hammond.
Yeah, complete 180.
And I had a truck
Literally.
with sounds. It would
Yeah,
shake. It would shake the neighborhood.
It would shake the neighborhood.
It would shake the neighborhood. And her house, her dad, he was a patient man with me.
He sure
but
was.
anyway,
So you ever driving down the street bumping when the
he-
spirit of the
he would
Lord
say-
moves upon
he
my
said-
heart.
Dad would
He'd
say-
say, and Jason would literally be blocks away. He'd say, "Here comes Jason, Nicole."
And so the very next day, I'm blasting Fred Hammond. And I share that to say, we try to leapfrog into our destiny.
Mm.
You can't.
Mhm.
He's the one that knows why you're created.
Yeah.
When I work with athletes on a professional level, the most liberating thing I tell them is that you weren't created to play a sport.
Yeah.
That
That's a
part.
talent. They'll cry.
Yes.
Liberated. Like, no, you're good at this. This is great. Use it. But you weren't created for this. And that's why when we get older, brother, when we, like in our 60s and 70s, when we're no longer as strong as we used to, when we can't provide like we used to, we feel worthless.
Yeah.
So again, our identity is in the wrong place. It's in things, it's in our ability, and it's not in Christ. And because of that, it shifts. Whatever's flies, whatever's the new thing, whatever's the new car, what's the new trend, what's this, what's that. That's why everyone is constantly seeking on social media.
That part.
They don't show, and I was just sharing this with a young man, it's all highlight reel.
Yes.
So could you imagine if you played for a team, say I love the Detroit Lions, and we're watching film, and all we see is the other team's highlights, their best moments. How would that make you feel? I can't beat these brothers.
Yep.
Or I got to keep doing this and got to keep doing this, instead of saying, wait a minute, let's look at everything. And so because we're only aiming at one part instead of helping refine our weaknesses, sharpen our swords. As a community, we're always looking outward. Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing. That's good. You want to observe.
Yeah.
But if you don't train yourself,
Teach.
if you don't make those improvements,
Teach.
I had to become a better man, not for her, as a byproduct, she would benefit my children, but because of the calling that was placed on my life. And that didn't happen by my own effort. I had to surrender and submit to him first.
Teach.
And that's how I became the man where she can make $1 million a year. I'm still the head of the home.
There it is.
And so, and there's no arrogance in that.
Yeah.
I know my spiritual role. I know this woman's power.
Yes.
I wouldn't dare use anything against her submission, her trust for me.
Yes.
You know why? Of course, I love her, but I fear him.
Teach.
And that's what we're missing as men. And you could even speak to like the young women, you know, which I admire her so much because, and I gradually push her like she used to push me. Like, post something, say this, you can go here. So when you sent the message for this, I'm like, thank you, Yah, because I know it's time, you know, for her to get out, because our young daughters are this way, our women are this way because of wounds.
Absolutely.
And so
one thing, the reason why I always want a balanced interview is because you can see a man, and as dope as you are, as amazing as you are, I know for a fact she's responsible for that. That you could only go so high. You could even how she prayed for you to even exist, for you to even surrender your life, came from her. She kept beseeching the throne room of heaven, saying, God, turn his heart around. God, turn his heart around. And even when you said the moment of your transformational moment, she said, don't say that about God. Don't dare say that. You know what I'm saying? And how did you feel? Let's take you back to the emotional state that you were in to even get that call that he just had an accident.
It of course jarred me, but I was not surprised at all.
Why not?
Because I had always known that Jason was running. He had this light in him. I wouldn't have been able to connect and link with Jason had he not had that light, right? I knew it. I saw it. And he had spoken to me about it, like on one of our first dates. He's like, so, wow, your dad's a pastor. He was like, all of these pastors has been coming up to me lately and saying all of this stuff about I got a call and all of this. And I'm like, yeah, God is calling him. God is calling him. And
pastors was walking up to you saying that a lot?
I would take flights, guy next to me, random, different ethnicity. Hey, where you going to Detroit? Cool, I'm going to this church. I'm like, you a pastor? Like, yeah, how did you know? Like, you have no idea. I mean, heck, and she's been there the whole time.
I know it.
I was getting a tattoo. This would concern me. And I called her. I was getting a tattoo, and the tattoo artist, he was really good. I said, man, I'm going to come back for another one. He says, well, this will probably be my last week. I said, why? You're making a lot of money. He says, well, God has convicted me that I'm destroying his artwork.
I'm about to run up this. I'm going to run out the studio.
And so he finished my
He said what?
Yeah, that he's destroying his creations. He says, so this will probably be my last week here. He says, interesting, you come now. So my friend picks me up. I was in Oakland, California, and he picks me up, and I went to go get in the car, and the owner was locking up the door, and he looked at me. He says, Jason, you know you didn't come here just for a tattoo. I said, okay.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. God's pursuit. Yeah,
God was chasing after you, wasn't he?
But isn't that so loving?
Yes.
Right, so sweet. Right, it's like God, I can't get
another tattoo.
So,
what did you get? What was the tattoo you got?
It's on my chest. It's Japanese for true, real, and sincere. I hope that's what it means because I heard now. I see these videos on TikTok. The Chinese guy or Japanese guy come out. That doesn't mean that. That means stupid fool. You know, like so. I think that's what he told me it meant. So I don't know, but that's the tattoo I got.
And that was the only one you got?
Well, no, I got several. I got one of my brother, a gun. He got murdered, unfortunately, and it says "Rest in peace, Keith," and then. On my other arm, I got a Grim Reaper holding a pit bull. So that was
definitely pre-Christ.
Yeah, and so, but yet,
what did you think when that man said that, though? The tattoo artist
it's hitting me now. I'm almost speechless because I just recalling his enduring love, his mercy, man.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you know, no one runs to him. And when you're running to the Almighty God and you don't have that fear, something you need to slow down for a moment. Because what he's about to ask you to do is going to test you. And so I knew that. And even here just sitting like, man, you just start recalling and imagine meeting him saying, oh, I was there. Remember that happened. And you thought that was a tragedy, but I was trying to alert you because you were in your will. You weren't really listening. That's why that happened. I never wanted you not to be without this for that to happen, but then I sent this person. And so it's confirmation of his love. And that's what I felt. At the time, I was just like, this is interesting, but I don't believe it.
And so you knew he was running and you got that call and you was like, I'm not surprised.
I wasn't surprised at all. I knew he was going to get him one way or another. Well, first of all, I knew he was going to get him because he was with me. So, you know, I couldn't have no head and God wasn't his head. So, so I knew that was coming. And I know my father, thanks God. My father was worried. He was worried for a minute.
I was about to say that for your
my daddy was worried. He like,
I had to apologize to Dad.
What'd you say to him?
We had dinner one day and it was beautiful because he was apologizing to me, saying how he didn't see me. And he apologized for trying to make me in the... said he didn't see me. And he deeply apologized. And I was trying to deflect it, saying, it's okay, Dad. And he was like, no, I need you to receive this. He said, I didn't see you. I didn't see who God had made you to be. Mm-hmm. And I said, I forgive you. And I had to receive his affirmation. And then I said, you know, I apologize to you. This man is so great. His daughter got pregnant out of wedlock, and he's a pastor. And he stood up before the church like, what?
He said, don't say nothing about my baby.
I love her. You know how many men would shun their children for
Come
that?
on, Jason.
And so I apologized to him because I said I disrespected you and dishonored you. And more importantly, I dishonored God's calling on your life. I caused that. And I said, I apologize to you for that. And, you know, we can always justify our actions. I didn't know better, you know. It takes two to have intercourse. No, I'm the man. Mm-hmm. You can't have sex without me. Mm-hmm. And it was just, we were outside, it was a beautiful day. And I never forgot that. And it literally liberated. I mean, this was like, you talking about the past visiting the present. It healed so much pain of those moments of, because Dad was Dad, you know.
Yeah.
I looked like a drug dealer, you know, unstable, not following Christ. My brothers was millionaires. Well, one of them was a millionaire in the streets. Like,
he was a high level drug dealer.
No, high level. Yeah, like I tell the boys I work with, I don't ever fear the ones who look tough. I fear the ones who look kind and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. Very dangerous. The men I came up with, they would shake your hand, smile, open the door for you. But you test them, you'll be missing. And not the very next day or the next week or the next month, but 2 years later. Mm-hmm. I was around very strategic men. And so I say that to say that Dad was fearful. And he had every right to question me. Mm-hmm. But I was rebellious, right? And I had a father wound. But, you know, it's His grace, and I'm just thankful. And even with Nicole, what you were just sharing about how God had to check me for you, and how I'm her head, and I would love for you to elaborate on that, because so many women who are in relationships with the wrong head,
teach,
the body has to follow, and so you're wondering why these things aren't working out for you because your head is following evil, and so I mean, can you just touch on, because, you know.
Please do.
That should come from you.
Please.
You know, a lot of women, so this is the thing about that. God works in delegated authority, right? So, I mean, if you look around, you know, and looking at the characteristics of God, it's not difficult to understand that how he is a God of order and process. He works in order, process, systems. Look at the human body, right? Of all of our neurons and atoms and molecules, everything working together. And when this is breaking down, then this breaks down. And right. And so when a woman has a man who naturally in delegated order should be leading, and that head is not linked to the Most High, then you are going to get breakdowns in your process. You're going to get breakdowns and gaps, which will lead to sickness and illness and disease of your relationship in your life.
Teach.
And so, but this is the thing about that, though, that I really want women to hear. Even if you have a man who, where they're off, they're skewed, something happened. Maybe they were walking with Christ before and now they're not. Maybe they're getting to know him and aren't walking fully in their purpose. But if a woman follows a man with the understanding that she is under God's delegated authority, she can almost leapfrog the man and say, okay, okay, Papa. Now I call him Papa.
Yeah.
Okay, Papa, this is your guy. And I'm under your delegated authority. So even if he not right, you're going to have me. Because I'm doing what you told me to do. I'm submitting as you told me to submit in your word. And you got to have me on the backside. Even if he ain't right, I'm going to do what you said to do.
That's good.
The scriptures say, what is it? The believing
spouse will restore
the husband.
And
wife,
so, and now, one thing I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about abuse. I'm not talking like just take what. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that if you are in a relationship and you are, it is your intent, your heart to follow the will of God. He'll never leave you on the back end of that. He will never, ever leave you out of that process. He will never do that. He's always going to have you on the back end.
Especially, if the woman knows in her heart, like you, I'm glad you stressed that you're not speaking to an abusive man,
right?
Any of that. But just say me, for instance, a guy like me, who I was.
A perfect example.
Yeah, he's really not that guy. Because you get to see both sides.
Yeah.
But yet, I need to pray more for him. That type of man. And so, yeah, I'm glad you said that because, we see it sometimes and you see the enemy creep in and you got to guard yourself against him as well because he's going to speak to you. You need to abort this. You're not living your best life now.
But see, that's the thing about following in the will of God, right? He tells us to not be unequally yoked.
Yeah.
He tells us to not do that.
Yeah.
Right? So if we follow his process and his order, we'll come out on the winning end. Now, do we do that most of the time? No. And so then he has to do his plan B's and C's and D's for us.
I truly believe he gave you signs that I was the one, same thing with her. I knew it, I saw it. And I believe he does that, but we miss him because of our flesh and what we think who we should be with. And so we'll miss the diamond chasing, I guess, a rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just for stability, because women want stability.
Yeah.
So when you reverse engineer that, like, what do you think about that when you say, here it is, because biblically y'all were unequally yoked when y'all first met. And yes,
No, we weren't.
Why not? She wasn't a Christian?
You're a trip.
I mean, the viewers going to say, well, wait a minute, because they did have a child out of wedlock, so...
But it doesn't mean I wasn't a Christian. I was a Christian. I grew up in church.
Jason, what'd you say? No,
she
we
was a
wasn't.
churchian.
I was a churchian.
Churchian.
She was a churchgoer.
We were both, well more so
You
her.
weren't no
I wasn't no churchian. People, many of us are in church, but not in Christ.
Teach.
Okay.
Teach.
And so we were sinners. I mean, come on. Okay, now you acting brand new on me.
She said, but I was a
We
PK.
were.
I was a PK.
She's a PK.
Okay. Fine.
So
I'll take that.
Look.
I was, however.
And I'm not judging. I mean, we were
just
sinners.
did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Cole, I was guilty too. I mean, it's like
She said you just did.
they're going to be like, well, wait a minute, this is clear, But look, I gotta tell you her trip part. So you done aired me out with my dinner. I remember when I knew she was a trip, and I don't want to digress, but just so we can tie in.
Yeah, the connection.
We were lost. A girl came by, and I wasn't even talking to her. To my apartment. This girl leaves. See this girl get out the car. Didn't know she was there for me, but she had this inclination that she was there to see me. Come back around and get out the car like what?
No, I didn't come back around. I put my car in reverse and
back
drove.
that's what it was. Drove back down illegally
down the street.
about 50, 60 feet
I'm like,
backwards.
what's up?
Oh, you went to the girl?
No, well,
her
she was
energy, it didn't match. She had to say anything. She got out the car like Cool J, you know what I mean? Sitting on the Jaguar. That's how I'm like, this is who I got. And so, cause
Nicole, you was a thug.
I don't play about him at all.
She don't.
I never
She
did.
don't.
Nicole, you gonna fight her?
I don't play about him.
You didn't even know she was leaving his house.
Listen,
she wasn't even there. She was just talking to me. She worked
what
at
we
the
doing?
Rivertown.
That's all I wanted to know. What's this conversation about? How we doing?
And we just met.
We all friends?
Y'all just met. Y'all
because this was after the pic. We just met, and you just
No, we didn't just meet.
Yes,
we
we
been
did.
Dating Jason.
No, I just.
You
it was
my
early night.
boyfriend.
I was still at the riverfront.
You was my boyfriend.
Okay.
In your head.
No, literally, he was my boyfriend.
I wasn't her man. I was her boyfriend.
He's my boyfriend.
And I
knew
knew that it was.
No, I never played about him.
No, never. Yeah, I don't want to say a lot. I'm thinking some funny stuff.
That turned you on though, didn't it?
It let me know that she wasn't the one. You know what I mean? And but I never.
Or the two.
Yeah, or the two. That's funny. I never really. You can ask my friends. I never was a Lothario or a man that just seduces women just for my own gain and having sex. I just was never that guy. My friends would get mad at me like, "Oh, she got a mole, Jay ain't gonna hit it." That's what they would say to me, But it wasn't that. It was just I looked at my body as well, like, well, she getting a piece of me too.
That's good. We don't hear that often.
Play out in marriage, just like I tell these guys, man. The reason you struggling in that area because when she wanted, you be like, yeah. Sometimes you may need to be like, nah. Not today.
Nicole, did Jason be doing you like that?
Actually, yes.
It's not. It's not. No, I'm saying.
Oh, he done told his secret on this live podcast.
He's like, no, I don't feel like my head hurts.
What I'm saying, and she knows it's true. It's you want to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
And so a lot of I'm a part of the cake too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so many men be like, they walk around their laundry, guys be like, you see this on social media, like, I'm like, my man, chill out. That's your wife. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? This cat walking around like he a cartoon, like, I'm about to eat.
He's like a cartoon character.
Just calm down. She right there.
Oh,
but it to me, it stokes the flame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's all I'm saying. It's like, I would never like deny her. And my wife, she's like, I can't wait for her to teach more because one of the things not learn, but I admire, she was like, that mom taught you about never denying your husband.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, not never, but because the fact of the matter, as women, sometimes you literally do have a headache, and sometimes you
say that again.
Sometimes you.
This the Motion girl. Our kids, she let us know she got a headache. She go to the cabinet, she shake the whole bottle, so the whole house like, oh, that's mama. She got a headache. Don't bother mama. So I know that means you ain't getting none tonight. Don't get on my nerves. When you hear that,
Nicole, why you got to shake the Motion bottle so loud? Why you got to wake up the whole neighborhood?
I ain't having it. When you hear that, don't mess with Cole that day. I know I'm sweating because that's hilarious. It's the truth, man. I'm serious. You ask our kids, I'm telling you.
I'll be up here crying.
Where's my handkerchief? I know I'm sweating. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
Because it's true. Oh my God, because it's true. And I didn't even know I did that. I think it was subconsciously. That's so.
You said subconsciously.
It's just like when brothers grab a cigarette, they always show. I don't know, man. It's one of them days, but I never seen nobody just chilling like I just want it. But it's always you just. So when she go in that cabinet, you just know like, okay, I'm not. It's no love tonight. It's nothing happening tonight. So yeah, that's
How many years have y'all been married?
26.
26 years. 26 what years. Have you learned? Because I love how you're affirming her and you're saying that in this season of her life, you want to see her fly. You want to see her actually be a voice of instruction and provide tutelage to other women. Why is that? Why are you echoing that so many times in this interview?
So same thing she saw in me, I see in her. I see how beautiful she is, how gifted she is, and how the stories, the pain, your testimony isn't meant to be stored. but exposed and shared. And, you know, I know her struggles just like she knows mine. And I know what helped me break free from emotional incarceration was facing those struggles. She knows this. It was never running from them. It was never running from God. All of my prayers of what I wanted in a family. I never had a family. Wanting to overcome like just low self-esteem, this lack of affirmation I didn't get. It all came from me answering the call, facing it, running towards it. I couldn't have her. She praying for the right man. How are he going to entrust her with me where I was? So I see this in her, that same story. Just flip it around. She has a book in her. She already started the ministry in her. And I look on social media, I say, Cole, it's not too many women like you.
Yes.
And these women, not just women, but young girls, who are they looking to?
Yes.
That can dress like sharp and fly and still pull me like, well, I can't wait to get home, you know? Without showing me everything.
Good.
You see, and that's what I want for you. That's why when I knew I wanted to do it. This is confirmation to the next thing we're going to do as well. I can't share. It's going to be a blessing. But when you sent the message, I said, oh, this is, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily for me or the book. It's to usher her into where she needs to be. And so as a man, it's like, I see so many times men who are accomplished, they get up to the mic and I like to thank my wife for always being there, supportive. Without her, I couldn't make it. I would never have done this. I'm like, man, where can I see a woman get up there? And more women saying, if not for my husband, he worked 2 jobs and did this and did this. Tabitha has that story about her husband. It's like, come on, man, but we have to heal first. So now that I'm healed, I don't want to store this for me. I want my wife to come up.
Teach.
You see what I'm saying? It's like,
teach.
It ain't no fun if she can't have none. That's the secular me. You know what I mean? It's like, but the righteous side is like, she's part of me. We're one. How can I go when you ain't with me?
Teach.
You know what I'm saying? So I got to be patient with her, loving, understanding, and graceful. You know, I had to unlearn this lie that I was conditioned. We were conditioned that what a man is. She had to unlearn it.
That's right.
So now I'm like, okay, you're good enough. You're here. You hear the way this woman talks.
Yes.
And it's parenting everything, and we not going to share what's not really happening.
Yeah.
And people are tired of the facade.
That part.
And so it means nothing if my wife can't come with me.
Nicole, how do you feel to hear that?
Oh, I love that.
Well, Jason gonna get something tonight.
That's
yep.
That's funny.
I love that.
But so when did this moment start happening? When did he started like really pouring in you and pushing you to say, "Now it's your season, baby. Go ahead and do it." When did that start?
It's been some years now. Probably really for the past 5 or so years. Jay has been like, okay, I'm doing this. So when you know, okay, and encouraging me. Not only on the broader, you know, on social platforms or speaking engagements, but that one-on-one, you know, as well, because he knows I'm kind of more closed off and
Are you more shy?
Not shy, but maybe a little more hesitant to engage, right? I'll focus on my circle, you know, the nonprofit, my kids, my family members.
You just don't want to do a lot of stuff more public, the bigger, the vast thing that you're more
I've always
inner
been,
circle.
Right. I've always embraced that undergirding. You know, I'm focused on Jay, you know, Jay doing this, Jay doing that. I'm in the background, running the nonprofit, that kind of thing, more in that background. And Jay like, no, God has more for you.
That's good.
Than that. He has more for you than that. And so just, you know, and I've been able to grow. Jason is such a great example for me. He is a benchmark for me because I've seen so many times where he has acted selflessly, right? Sacrificially, sacrificing his mind, his body, right? For that one boy, right? Not just all for the mass, because he's serviced hundreds, thousands, but that one boy he'll go after, that one young man, that one man right? And it's just been such a great example to me to see that selflessness. And I want to do more of that. I want to be more of that.
So what do you do? What do you do from what is your heart's desire? What is it that you believe that God purposed you? I get what you're talking about, undergirding the mission, taking care of your family, running the nonprofit, and all that is extremely important. And I believe that that's a missing art in a lot of women's lives. But what also, and what is it that God placed in your heart for you to say, when I was a little girl, I always saw this? What is that?
When I was a little girl, I always had a passion for seeing, well, now is my passion, for seeing strong women take care of their children. I've always had a passion for maternal child health and well-being. Initially, before we got our nonprofit, I thought that my mission and vision was to start a maternal child health clinic. I'm a registered nurse by trade.
Oh, okay.
So I was always in the healthcare.
So that's why you say you was making some money.
I was.
Yeah, well, she was blowing me out.
Yeah, she was making that loop.
And so it's always been a core of my mission to help women and children. And I do that in different facets through the nonprofit. But I believe that God has a lot more work for me to do in that area. Yeah.
But you say you got some stuff brewing that you can't talk about, huh? You talking about Jason?
Yeah, I should have asked for permission first, but it's something exciting. I wanted to bring her along on the journey, and it's a way again for me to reel her in a little more.
Yeah.
And I know it's time. A lot of people, marriages are struggling, relationships are struggling.
Yeah.
And they're missing why it's a struggle. See, that's what's throwing them off.
Why it's a struggle.
Yeah, when you lift weights, you don't stop going to the gym because you're sore the next day. You're like, oh man, I must have hit it. Let me hit that again.
Yeah.
You know? And so with marriage, it's the same way.
Yeah.
A little conflict. Oh, we married. What you thought? This is the greatest threat against the kingdom of darkness.
Teach, Jason.
You know,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so even,
but it's a beautiful struggle.
It is. It is. And we make sure, like, we would argue like middle schoolers, you know, and pouting and don't speak for a day or so. It's like, man, this ain't.
Sending, 4-page text messages.
Yeah, it gotta stop. Yeah, it's just like, this has to stop. And you just realize, like, look, I'm not leaving you. Let's reconcile and make this right before the day over. Yep. It's like, why am I go to bed not loving you or making the most of this moment? I may not even wake up, and so it's just, so again, I know we've allowed the world to define what God created as his covenant, and that's the biggest issue. It's like, they can't define it. It's literally a war. You say I do, Satan say I see. Let me see. Let's see what you're about.
Jason, you have another amazing book. You did Battle Cry. Now you have The Man, The Moment, The Demands. What is this book about?
It came from working with so many men who who were the wrong man in many moments. So often when we're stuck in masculine mode, we're strong when we need to be sensitive. We're dogmatic when we need to be patient. And as a result, marriages have folded, relationships, jobs. Men have committed suicide because they blew one moment. They allowed this one moment to shape their entire life. And so The Man, The Moment, Demands, I'm teaching you the 10 characteristics of a comprehensive man. So instead of just being locked into just a fighter, you learn how to be the provider. What it really means, not just making the money or providing for others, but how do you provide for yourself?
That part.
What does rest look like? And then next, what is leadership? Is it being this unapproachable, dogmatic leader? If that worked, this world would be at peace. It doesn't work. Then from there you go to the lover, the nurturer, the gentleman. We forgot chivalry. Chivalry is not a way to pander to women or a system that was created for that. It was a code of honor for medieval knights. It was a warrior's code. But we've allowed concepts like the alpha male, which has been debunked, because we know now that the leader of the pack is not one dominant male. It's actually the breeding pair. So in other words, if we were in a wolf pack, it wouldn't just be me. It would be me and Nicole leading the wolf pack. So all these men yelling, I'm an alpha male. Well, where is that woman next to you? You see?
You stepping on toes.
Yeah,
Jason, you done stepped on some toes now.
And I do this in love because I'm trying to keep you from walking that path you're walking in. You're unhappy, you're miserable. You say you're this alpha male, but yet your whole life, your whole persona is geared around performing for women. Your cars, your cigars, your glasses, your clothes, your everything. But yet you this leader and you setting the tone and you want to change the community and you don't even have a family. You see? And so that has been debunked. It's a myth, my brothers. It's a myth. The leaders of a wolf pack is the breeding pair. Learn from that. So from there, then you go to the lover. I think I said the lover, the friend. And then, of course, you have the devotion characteristics, which is the husband, the father, and then the son. And so I unpack all of those so that we can be the man in each moment that we need to be. And so I basically, this is, unless the Most High says otherwise, this is the end of that manhood series. I poured everything I have into this book. My exercises, the things that I do, the things that I do with others. And it helps men not only process their pain, but stop living from their fears and say, hey, I'm going to be a gentleman in this moment. And even just yesterday, I had to speak in Flint, Michigan. And give me your hand, Cole. And I asked a woman to come up. And I said, shake my hand like you typically would. And she shook it very firm and strong. And I asked the men in the audience, why is she doing that? And she started crying. And I started pouring in her. I said, do you know who she is? So now I go back to how we supposed to shake our women's hands. It's here. This acknowledges who she is, not only to me, but in society. The Most High chose life to come through her. But yet I'm going to shake her hand like this. She has to do that because of what's happening. What's made her so callous? My brothers, what happens when we lose a woman's love, empathy, and compassion? And she got to come shake her. What type of man shakes a woman's hand like another man? You shake a queen's hand like that and she coming to you like this and she with security, you getting beat down.
Sure will.
She started crying and I hugged her because our women now are emotionally incarcerated as well. You see, and so now here it is. You got hurt people, hurting people, and keep hurting people. And we don't see this cycle because in the mirror, we're hating the person we see. We're searching for love every other place except in there. Until we do what Yeshua says to take out this plank out of your eye. Stop worrying about everyone else's speck. Remove this so you can see how fearfully and wonderfully you are made. The key is don't stay in the mirror, because I talk about this as well, especially as men, we always are trying to self-correct. I got to do this, got to become this guy. Like there's this mastery of manhood. There isn't. You constantly evolve. Yeshua says, after you remove the plank from your eye, then you can see clearly. And then you can remove the speck out of your neighbors or your wives or your brothers or your coworkers or your daughters or your sons. We're trying to move specks and we can't even see. That's why we're hurting people. We're pulling on eyelash. We can't even see. And so until we're willing to wage the war within ourselves, this will keep happening. And so that's the purpose of this book, is like, look, my brothers, you are powerful. You are mighty. You can heal. You can be a lover. Love is more than sex with a woman. It's much deeper than that. And when men can grasp this concept, like, wait a minute, I'm so much more than what I've been taught. I'm more than what I do. I can just exist and live from this good in my heart freely. Still be the lion when you have to, but reset back to the lamb. Then we'll see the love, the nurturing, the other attributes that this world needs from men that they're not seeing. We've got enough protectors. We got enough providers. We need to keep doing that. But Nicole and other women, our daughters, our sons, need the other attributes of this comprehensive man. And so that's what I share in the Man, the Moment, Demand, so that we'll stop being the wrong man in the moment.
Lit fam. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Nicole. There's moments in history that I believe shifts culture. And I just heard prophetically that this book is that. I need everyone who watches this episode, I don't care if you're a woman, buy the book. Buy the book and let it just sit on your table. Read it, but let it just sit for the man that you're believing is going to come into your life. I believe in seed time and harvest. This is that seed. This is a seed for your future son or those that have sons. This is the seed for your father that didn't show up the way that he's supposed to show up in your life. Gift it to a brother, gift it to an uncle, gift it to your son, gift it. I'm telling you right now, purchase this book. I have never been so emphatic about something. And I'm hearing something because the very thing that God has passionate in my heart since 2020, this Adam, where are you calling over my life. And so that's what drew me so much to you. And for you to create something like this, a book that is going to shape and reshape culture, it just is making my heart overflow with gratitude that God used you for such a time as this. And that's why I understand why he called you. You know, that young knucklehead running, he had to get your attention in the most, what we make look at like very dangerous. You know what I'm saying? It's very dangerous because you're talking about that big old machine falling. That I mean, how much some things weigh? It's like it's like 2 tons or something, ain't it?
More than that.
Heavy. Because when I heard that story, I went and looked it up. I was like, if that thing would, your body would have been a pancake.
Yes, absolutely.
Just everything out your body.
Yes.
But God was so intentional about getting your attention because it's not just about you. It's what God placed inside of you to help the masses.
That's right.
Yes.
And I am so grateful that I get a chance to sit across from somebody who God's hand is on that says, Jason, you need to wake up because you're holding everybody else hostage. You're holding these other men that need to be set free hostage. And I need you to wake up. The time is now, not later. The time is now. And as you submitted your life to the Most High God, then God has been able to extract these gems from you. That as you had this amazing woman cultivate that in you, as we cultivate that in each other, that God allowed this woman to stand beside you and push you, like you keep talking about. She kept pushing you to this. She kept pushing you to that. And then now you're saying, oh, I got to return the favor. I need to usher you into the mandate that God has over your life as well. And so this moment, this interview is so transformational for me because it's giving light to the woman that I desire, to the woman that I've been praying and writing letters. At the end of each episode, I write a letter to my future wife and I put it in this box. And what I'm looking at right now is the manifestation of those hopes and desires and the personification of those letters to hear and be like, that's what I'm talking about. This is what I've been asking God for, as a kingdom marriage. This is so important. Heavenly Father, we thank you. We thank you for the Wilsons. God, I thank you for the calling that's over both of their lives, individually and collectively. I thank you for the love that they've shared. Lord, you said that love covers a multitude of sins. God, I love the conversation that Jason had with his father-in-law. And I don't even like to use in-law. I'm just gonna say father-in-love. That amazing restorative conversation. I've never, ever heard a conversation like that between a father and a son. Let this conversation heal many, many father and son's relationships. God, those who have dishonored women, even myself, who have dishonored women, and before the Father gave us their daughter, that we impregnated them and gave a beautiful miracle of life, but it was still done out of dishonor. God, let us be humble men that we can go and ask for forgiveness from those fathers. God, I thank you for everything that has transpired in this interview, this conversation, this transformational moment in time, this Kairos moment. This is a Kairos moment that's going to change generations to come. I thank you for that. God, I ask for a special hedge of protection over the Wilsons. God, I ask that you continue to anoint the works of their hand, everything that they desire. God, I ask that you open up the windows of heaven and pour out blessings they don't have room enough to receive. God, I thank you. I thank you for their lives. I thank you for their destiny. I thank you for their calling. God, I thank you in advance for everything that's going to come forth through their lives, the many souls that will be brought to the kingdom, the many lives that will be transformed, the healing that will take place in all the lives that they touch. God, I give you all the praise, the glory, and the adoration. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
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 Thank you, brother.
When I say I thank y'all, man, this is going to sit with me. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Anything?
Thank you for the invite. Yeah.
Man, this is amazing.
It's been a great time.
Yeah.
Anything y'all want to share before we conclude?
No, I'd just be praying for you, brother. I didn't know you were still seeking that one, and I'll be praying, and I look forward to getting to know you.
That's gonna go
better.
up on our prayer board.
We have a prayer chart.
That's good.
Yeah, and so I'll be praying for you and love to be in touch.
Good. Let's stay in touch. I need the mentorship.
I know she's possibly around, so some things may shackles need to come off your heart and your eyes so that you can see her. A lot of times I truly believe that God hides us until it's time. He hid me for her. I could have been married to some interesting people, you know? But he says, no, the neglect, it's not that you're not good enough. They're not good enough. They can't fit this calling I have for you. But I couldn't see at the time. And so when I just hear how you're praying, it's sincere. It's not contrived at all, okay? Even that is beautiful. You know, I envision one day you'll hand it to her.
Yep.
You know, but a lot of times we can make that box our marriage. You know, we can stay here. It becomes like David in the Cave of Adullam. You know, when he finally came out and him and Saul reconciled, he was about to go back to the cave. The priest of Moab said, don't go back. Don't let that box be the marriage. See, we can get comfortable with things and settle. And then sometimes those letters is like, it makes this woman kind of perfect. You have to be careful of that as well. Because just like we're flawed as men, she has her issues.
Absolutely.
It took for me to marry her to force this pain out of me. I couldn't embrace family because I never seen it. I can't not be around family. Her family is like this. You hear me?
Thick as thieves.
But it was needed.
Yeah.
But what if I'd have kept running? You know, my box was music and things like that. And this is beautiful. And I see, I'm like, man, this is a beautiful brother here.
Thank you.
You know, I see all that you've built, and it's like, as you praying, I'm looking at a Nicole, like, man, Abba, who's his Azer?
Yes.
Where is she? Is he even ready for what needs to happen in this brother where you can say, okay, now I can release her, where you can see her. But right now I got her protected because she's been through some things. So that's my prayer for you, brothers.
I receive it.
And I'll be here, you know. You got my number, and iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
And I tell brothers all the time, if the sword stays sheathed, we'll never know if it needs sharpening. And so show me your sword, brother. Yeah. I'll polish it after I sharpen it. I don't want you cutting at things, that struggles, whatever's in your way, sin, and you can't slice it. So we're going to sharpen that blade first. It's going to look rough. That blade is not going to be polished. But once that blade is nice and sharp, then we can buff it.
I love it.
And that's when you say, there she go. I see her. You know, so that's my prayer for you, man.
I receive it, man. I receive it. Again, make sure y'all pick up this book. Nicole, what's your social media?
It is Nicole. No, what is it, Jason?
I'm glad you said that. I tell you what it is, everyone.
What
Is
is
this
it,
the camera?
Yeah.
It's Mrs. Nicole L. Wilson.
That's what it is.
Yeah, so that's her handle for Facebook. You can find her on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and hopefully soon YouTube. Yeah. So if you're watching this and you're a woman, follow her. If you're a woman, follow her.
Jason, why you don't want no men following her?
Maybe so. I'm really just tripping.
I know what I'm messing with.
But she don't play about me. I don't play about her. Like, it'd be a problem. Okay, like,
and you don't want to have no problem with no Jason.
Like, it's real cool though too. I ain't gonna even be mad at you or none of that. You might think, where did this come from? When did this happen? You know, but I'm tripping. But anyway, but I didn't know you was still recording. I thought, man, you was talking. I'm praying, and you still got the cameras rolling. But anyway, her handle is at Mrs. MRS Nicole, Nicole, L as in Ladon, Wilson, Wilson.
Thank you, Jason.
And follow her. Comment, because she may not check the direct messages, so comment on a post, say, hey, Nicole, when are you going to answer that call?
There it
ring,
is.
Ring.
Yeah, get her.
Yeah.
Get her.
And so,
get her.
Yeah, that's a little pressure back on
That
you.
is a little
she
pressure.
do me.
Yeah.
And
I
I
like
need
it,
it.
though.
I
I
need
receive
it.
it.
But yeah, but
I
she can
receive
handle it.
Good.
And I heard a quote
receive it.
that changed, is changing my perspective about pressure, and is that pressure is a privilege.
There it is.
And so, yeah.
Well, listen, I know y'all got a car pulling up.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all give it up for the Wilsons, y'all.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Stay tuned to the end for a letter to my future wifey.
Been writing these love letters to you.
Ladarian, thrusted suddenly into Child Protective Services in 2015. My nephew, black, a boy. The likelihood of being adopted outside of kinship, slim to none. Armani, 16 years old, black, a boy, with 5 years in the foster care system before I even knew his name. The likelihood of ever being adopted, yep, you guessed it, slim to none. While Ladarian and Armani were trying to survive and barely thrive in an overpopulated and underfunded foster care system, I was living my own life, doing well professionally. Having been a single father with a daughter who at that point was doing well in college, it was my time to live my life, right? Wrong. I felt unsettled, tireless, agitated. There are just too many of our black children stuck in ambiguity and in the limbo of the foster care system. In 2017, I legally adopted my nephew, Ladarian. Fast forward to 2019, I had no ties to this other young king, but I felt God instructed me to adopt him also, and I obeyed. Starting over with parenting should have been enough, right? Working with various foster care and adoption agencies to help bring awareness to the countless young black kings in the foster care system should have decreased my agitation, right? Joining the board of directors of Advantage Adoption, an organization that helps find permanent adoptive homes for children in foster care, should have led to some type of resolve, right? No, not at all. None of it felt like I had done enough. I now realize that every one of those experiences was laying the fundamental foundation for my life's mission, Kingdom Royale. Kingdom Royale will be a luxury, state-of-the-art home for foster boys. Our first location will be in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We will utilize the whole person approach that instills identity, empowers them to advocate for themselves, and enlightens them regarding new perspectives and limitless options that they thought were impossible. Though the young kings will attend the local public schools that are in proximity to Kingdom Royale, our at-home curriculum will broaden their worldview through participating in the arts, attending various cultural events, learning about and engaging in multifaceted discussions about current events and even relevant historical context, introducing them to gardening and landscaping and even caring for our animals on our farm and on-site stables. We just launched our Startup Capital campaign with the goal of raising $2.8 million. Now, why $2.8 million? Well, in 2017, I created a web series in which I performed random acts of kindness for targeting the homeless community. One of the most notable successes was that one of the videos went viral, garnering 28 million views. However, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't raise a single dollar to help in implementing a more sustainable plan for the homeless community. So throughout the years, with much remorse, I reflected on not maximizing that moment. I knew if at that time, just 10% of the viewers donated $1, we would have raised at least $2.8 million that could have really established long-term support for the homeless community, or at least started a long-term initiative to do so. This is my do-over. This is our new beginning. Together, we can attack this at the root by specifically helping our homeless black boys who are already disproportionately represented in the American foster care system. I'm Laterras R. Whitfield. I've been nominated for 3 regional Emmys documenting my work with the homeless as well as my personal adoption journey. Despite those accolades, the greatest award for me is truly providing the infrastructure for a transformed life. Visit kingdomroyale.com for more details. Crown a king and make a donation today. You know, there's some episodes that will just sit with me for a lifetime, and this is one of those episodes. I don't know. This thing hit differently. I mean, it really, really did. So here's my favorite part of the podcast where I speak to my future wifey. Dear future wifey, as I envision our journey together, I see more than just love, companionship, and shared moments. I see a future where I am committed to pushing you towards your greatest potential, not because you aren't already extraordinary, but because I believe we are meant to sharpen one another. My love for you will never be passive. It will be a love that challenges you, supports you, and ignites every dream you have tucked away in your heart. I want to be the partner who sees the greatness in you, even when you can't. When doubts creep in or obstacles arise, I'll remind you of your strength, your resilience, and your brilliance. I won't let you settle for anything less than the best version of yourself, and I know you'll do the same for me. Together, we'll build a foundation where growth is constant and comfort is never complacency. I won't let you give up when things get hard, and I will celebrate every victory, no matter how small. We will be partners in greatness, lifting each other higher with every step we take. In our love, we will find the power to dream bigger, reach further, and create a life that leaves a lasting impact. And as I push you to greatness, I know you will inspire me to rise to mine. Your future hubby.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving.
Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.